Today we are going to talk about the violence and compliance, violation and compliance management for transportation agencies. I'm going to go through the presentation, just a couple of slides to give you an overview of the functionality, and then do a small demo with the screens, so to give you an idea of what the workflow is and what fields are there. So what is the permit violation system? It's basically a new functionality that we are going to be introducing inside the SUPERLOAD Connect Edition, which allows for the state patrol and any of the law enforcement agencies that are there in a state to track violations, to enter violations and citations against a specific carrier, against a specific vehicle, or against a specific permit that the vehicle is carrying at. So any violations that are there will be contained and entered into that specific module. Some of the capabilities for the permit violation is you can track and search the violations that have been entered. It has a pretty good criteria for searching from permit number to dates and whatnot. Then there is an export functionality. Once you search, you can also export your search results into an Excel for your reporting purposes, and also add new violations and then add comments to every violation. The next couple of slides are going to be a brief overview, screenshots of what the module looks like. So if you look to the left of it, that's what the search criteria for the violation tracking is. So you can either search by a permit ID, then there is dates. You can search by the name of the permittee or the hauler, by their DOT number, then a list of violations that are there, the driver's name, first name, last name, their license number, state, and then also gives the ability to search based on the load description of the specific permit. And once you have all that criteria entered in, or if you have a specific criteria, you get a search grid in this form, which will give you all the relevant information about the violation against a specific permit, then the driver's name, the specific violation that occurred for that permit, and then with whatever date it was last updated on, whoever the officer's name was. The next screen is where new violations are added. So in this case, if you look through again to your left, you have the permit ID, you have the date and time on which the violation occurred, the location, and then the list of violations again. There is then information about the drivers, the officer who's entering it, their ID, and then the comments box to enter any comments specific to that violation. With that, I'm going to switch over to the demo. Let me close that out. Bring up the login screen. So a permit violation, again, is a part of the SUPERLOAD Connect module. It's going to be available inside the admin functionalities. So once you log into the system, if you go to My Admin, there's a bunch of other functionality over here. So it's going to be part of the permit management, and it's right here. And once you click on the permit violation, it's going to load up the screens that I showed you through my presentation. So you have the top, which is the search criteria, and then you have the bottom, which is a search grid. So let me go ahead and search by a specific date. So I'm going to pick a date starting 1st of August till today, and then click on search. And that gave me a list of all the violations. Similarly, you can enter a specific permit ID. So say if I want to copy that permit, and then let me clear this out. So you can enter in just the permit ID, and then that's going to give you just a specific permit ID. So if I click on do that, you can select from a list and then click search, and that will give you the specific permit ID. So if I scroll to the bottom, you'll see all the relevant information, which is the specific hauler or the permittee that the permit's attached to, the violation, the permit ID, then the time and the date at which the violation occurred, the type of violation, then the officer's name, the driver's name, and whoever the last user updated it. So if you go through the other options, it's in a similar way. If I type in a specific hauler, it's going to give you a list of all the haulers, and you can select by that and search by that. So let me reset that. And if you search, so it gives you a list again. If you don't know the name, I'm going to do test, and then it's going to give you a list, anything starting with that specific hauler. And once you click on that, it's going to give you a list at the bottom again. Same thing to do with violation. So you can select a specific criteria, and then it's going to search for those specific criteria. And then you have the driver's information, which you can search by the state, and then also the load description. Go back and put my search back into the 1st of August. All right. So if you go back again to the bottom of the list, you can, there is a bunch of buttons. So the first one is add a record. So this actually is where you add new violations. The edit button allows you to edit all the entered violations. So if you click on a specific record and you click edit, you can go in and make changes, or if you want to add more comments, you can add more comments. So it gives you that option. Then if you want to delete it, you have the option to delete it as well. And then, as I was talking about earlier, you can export all of those to Excel and then use it for your own reporting. So let's now go back and go to add a record. So if a user goes and clicks on add a record, it gives them the ability to add a specific violation for the permit. So you can enter in the permit ID. Right now, the whole functionality is developed, almost developed, but there are some things which we are still tweaking. So in the system that I'm showing today, it will require, it does require a permit ID to be entered for a specific violation, but in the future, we are going to make it optional. So if a driver or if permittee has been caught for a violation on the roadway and say they don't have a permit, in that case, the law enforcement officer wouldn't need to enter the permit ID. They can leave this blank. They can enter in the date and time. In this case, say if I want to switch it over to and then enter in the location. Select a specific violation. Again, as I said earlier, we are making some tweaks. So right now the screen only allows the user to select one violation for a specific record. But going forward, we will be having a grid which will allow the user to select multiple violations. So if you want to enter a specific, if you want to enter a record for a violation and you see that there are multiple ones that they have, basically they have multiple violations, it will allow you to select multiple of them. So currently it only allows you to select one. And then you can enter in the driver's name, driver's last name, uh, the driver's license number, the state, the officer's name, the officer's last name, officer ID, and then any comments that are there for that specific violation. To give you an overview, let me go and click on edit a specific one. So say if I want to select that, click edit. And then if you look through this, you'll see that it has a permit ID, then the date and time when it occurred, the location, the specific violation, and then any comments that you want to enter. And if you click on update, that's going to update the record for it. So I searched from August to today. You can do search for a specific day, or you can do a search for a specific date range. So it depends upon what you're looking for. Apart from that, I think that pretty much covers the screens that we have right now for violation tracking or permit violation, if you want to call it that.